Welcome to my Chanial Mode of Mind movements. Good morning, everyone. It is truly an honor to stand before you today to share thoughts on a topic that is at the core of many of our lives. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the daily demands of life. We juggle careers, relationships, responsibilities, and personal goals, all of which compete for our attention and time. But in the midst of all these distractions, we must remember one simple but profound truth: when we put God first, everything else falls into its rightful place. The phrase "put God first" is more than just a slogan or a casual reminder. It is a call to align our hearts, minds, and actions with a higher purpose, one that transcends the temporary things of this world. Putting God first means that we acknowledge that He is the creator of all things and the foundation of our lives. It means choosing His wisdom, His love, and His guidance above all else. Putting God first is not always easy. It often requires us to make difficult decisions, to resist the pressure of worldly influences, and to trust in God's timing even when we don't fully understand the path ahead. But in doing so, we experience peace that surpasses all understanding. When we invite God to be the center of our lives, we find that we are no longer burdened by the weight of our own expectations or the fear of failure. Instead, we place our trust in His sovereignty, knowing that He is always with us, guiding and protecting us. As it is written in Matthew 6:33, "But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." This verse reminds us that when we prioritize our relationship with God, when we seek His kingdom, our needs and desires will be met in ways we could never imagine. Our careers, our family, and our ambitions will find their rightful place in His perfect plan. Putting God first also means living a life of gratitude, kindness, and service to others. It means recognizing that everything we have is a gift from God and that our purpose is to glorify Him by helping and serving those around us. When we put God first, we become instruments of His love, bringing light and hope to a world that so desperately needs it. So how can we begin to put God first in our daily lives? Take time each day to connect with God, whether in quiet prayer, reading scripture, or simply reflecting on His goodness. Let your relationship with Him be the foundation of your day. Life is filled with uncertainties, but when we trust that God has a purpose for us, we can move forward with confidence. Trusting Him means surrendering our own desires and allowing Him to guide us. Jesus taught us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Putting God first means reflecting His love through our actions. Seek opportunities to serve and lift others up, whether in your family, workplace, or community. In the busyness of life, it's easy to push our spiritual needs to the back burner. Set boundaries that allow time for reflection, worship, and rest in God's presence. Friends, putting God first is a lifelong journey. It's not about being perfect, it's about continuously striving to live with God at the center. When we make this our priority, everything else, our relationships, our work, our dreams, will come into alignment with His will. In closing, let me leave you with a thought. When we put God first, we are not just transforming our own lives, we are becoming a beacon of light in a world that is desperately searching for truth and purpose. May we all take this challenge to heart and commit to putting God first in everything we do. For in doing so, we will experience His abundant grace, His unwavering love, and the fulfillment that comes from living a life aligned with His divine plan. To prioritize your relationship with God is to make Him the focal point of your life. It is a decision that shapes every aspect of your existence, guiding your thoughts, actions, relationships, and goals. In a world that is increasingly fast-paced and filled with distractions, the idea of placing God at the center of everything can seem daunting. Yet the importance of prioritizing your relationship with God cannot be overstated. It is not just about seeking comfort or guidance during times of trouble, but about living in alignment with a purpose that is far greater than our own desires and ambitions. When we prioritize our relationship with God, we make a conscious choice to seek Him first and to let His will be the foundation upon which we build our lives. This requires intentional effort and a deep understanding of the significance of God's presence in our lives. It means that God is no longer a secondary consideration, squeezed in around the busyness of the day, but the central focus of our hearts, minds, and decisions. At the core of prioritizing your relationship with God is the practice of seeking Him daily. This is not merely a matter of attending church on Sundays or praying when you need something. It involves an ongoing commitment to spend time with God, to listen for His voice, and to grow in your understanding of who He is. One of the most important ways we can prioritize our relationship with God is through prayer. Prayer is the bridge that connects us to God. It is in prayer that we communicate with Him, sharing our joys, concerns, and desires while also listening for His guidance. The act of praying regularly, whether in the morning, throughout the day, or before bed, allows us to nurture our relationship with God. It is a personal conversation that fosters intimacy and strengthens our connection with Him. Another crucial aspect of prioritizing our relationship with God is worship. Worship is not confined to singing songs in church. It is a lifestyle of reverence and adoration toward God. Worship can take many forms, from the music we listen to, the words we speak, the way we treat others, and the way we handle our daily tasks. When we worship God, we acknowledge His greatness and sovereignty, recognizing that He alone is worthy of our praise. True worship is not just about going through the motions or performing rituals. It is about offering our whole selves to God in recognition of His majesty. By living a life of worship, we declare that God is at the center of everything we do, and we are reminded of His goodness and faithfulness. Prioritizing your relationship with God also involves obedience. Obedience is the natural response to knowing God and loving Him. As we grow in our relationship with Him, we learn to follow His commands and trust His direction, even when it is difficult or counter to our own desires. In John 14:15, Jesus says, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Obedience is not a burdensome requirement, but an expression of love and gratitude toward God. When we obey His commands, we demonstrate our trust in His wisdom and our desire to honor Him. Even in moments of struggle or temptation, prioritizing obedience to God helps us stay anchored in His truth and keep our focus on Him. Furthermore, prioritizing your relationship with God means surrendering your will to His. In a culture that emphasizes personal autonomy and independence, the idea of surrender can seem foreign or difficult. Yet surrendering to God is an essential part of the Christian journey. It is acknowledging that God's plan for our lives is better than any plan we could devise on our own. Surrendering to God means relinquishing control, trusting that He knows what is best for us, and submitting to His authority. This surrender does not mean passivity or resignation. Rather, it is an active choice to align ourselves with God's purpose and to let go of the things that compete for our allegiance. Part of prioritizing your relationship with God also means seeking His will above your own desires. In many areas of life, we are faced with choices, whether related to career, relationships, or personal ambitions. When we prioritize our relationship with God, we seek His guidance in making these decisions. We pray for His direction, we listen for His voice, and we trust that He will lead us along the best path. Sometimes God's will may not align with our own desires, and we may have to make sacrifices or take difficult steps of faith. Yet we can trust that His plan for our lives is good and His timing is perfect. Prioritizing God's will above our own requires humility and a willingness to let go of the need to control every aspect of our lives. Gratitude, on the other hand, is the practice of appreciating what we have and recognizing the beauty and goodness in the world around us. It is easy to get caught up in what we lack or in the difficulties that life presents. However, by focusing on gratitude, we shift our attention from what is missing to what is abundant. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to negativity and despair. It helps to reframe our challenges and struggles, reminding us that there is always something to be thankful for, no matter how difficult life may seem at times. When we practice gratitude, we become more attuned to the blessings we have, whether it's the love of family and friends, the beauty of nature, the ability to learn and grow, or simply the gift of another day. The combination of service and gratitude creates a symbiotic relationship. When we serve others, we are often confronted with the stark reality of the challenges that others face. This can cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude for the blessings we may take for granted. Similarly, when we approach our service with a heart full of gratitude, our actions become more sincere, compassionate, and impactful. We no longer serve out of obligation or duty, but out of a genuine desire to give back for the blessings we have received. This creates a cycle of positivity where service leads to gratitude, and gratitude motivates further service. Gratitude has the remarkable ability to transform the way we perceive the world. It helps us to see beyond our own struggles and to recognize the beauty in the small things that might otherwise go unnoticed. The sound of birds chirping in the morning, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the kindness of a stranger, all of these things are sources of joy that often go underappreciated. When we live with a sense of gratitude, we become more attuned to these simple pleasures, and our lives become richer, fuller, and more meaningful as a result. This heightened sense of awareness also allows us to better serve others. When we are grateful, we approach life with a sense of humility and openness, which fosters deeper connections with others and a greater willingness to help. Moreover, living a life of service and gratitude requires a level of mindfulness and presence. It is easy to become distracted by the demands of daily life, to rush from one task to the next without truly engaging in the moment. But when we approach life with a mindset of service, we learn to slow down, to be present, and to fully engage with the world around us. Whether we are helping a friend through a difficult time or simply being present with a loved one, our attention and energy are focused on the needs of others. This kind of attentiveness fosters deeper relationships, a greater sense of empathy, and a stronger connection to the world we inhabit. We begin to see ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as integral parts of a larger whole, each of us contributing to the collective good. Another important aspect of living a life of service and gratitude is the cultivation of empathy. To serve others effectively, we must first understand their needs, challenges, and desires. Empathy allows us to put ourselves in the shoes of others, to feel what they feel, and to respond in a way that is compassionate and supportive. This requires us to let go of judgment, to set aside our own biases, and to listen with an open heart. Empathy is a cornerstone of true service because it helps us to recognize the humanity in others and to see beyond external differences. It also fosters a deeper sense of gratitude. As we become more aware of the struggles and sacrifices that others face, when we develop empathy, we are more inclined to serve others in ways that are meaningful and impactful, rather than out of a sense of obligation or duty. Living a life of service and gratitude also has profound benefits for our mental and emotional well-being. Studies have shown that engaging in acts of kindness and service can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and increase overall happiness. Serving others helps to shift our focus away from our own concerns and challenges, creating a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Gratitude, similarly, has been linked to improved mental health, as it fosters a positive outlook and enhances emotional resilience. By living a life of service and gratitude, we are not only benefiting others, but we are also nurturing our own well-being. The act of giving and the practice of appreciation create a powerful cycle of positivity that nourishes both the giver and the receiver. Furthermore, living a life of service and gratitude can have a ripple effect, influencing those around us and inspiring them to live in a similar way. When we serve others with a spirit of gratitude, we set an example for others to follow. Our actions become a beacon of light, encouraging others to adopt a similar mindset and to make a positive difference in the world. This creates a collective culture of kindness, generosity, and gratitude, where each person contributes to the well-being of others. In this way, living a life of service and gratitude has the potential to create a broader impact, transforming communities, organizations, and even entire societies. In our fast-paced, often self-centered world, it can be easy to overlook the importance of service and gratitude. We may become consumed with our own goals, struggles, and desires, forgetting that we are part of a larger web of human experience. But by returning to the principles of service and gratitude, we can recalibrate our lives, focusing on what truly matters. We can find fulfillment in the act of giving, joy in the practice of appreciation, and meaning in the relationships we cultivate. Service and gratitude are not just acts we perform, they are ways of being that shape our worldview and guide our actions. Living a life of service and gratitude is not always easy. It requires a commitment to putting others first, to being selfless, and to being open to the vulnerability that comes with connecting deeply with others. It demands patience, resilience, and humility. Yet the rewards are immeasurable. By living with a heart full of service and gratitude, we create a life that is rich in meaning, purpose, and connection. We contribute to the betterment of others, foster deeper relationships, and cultivate a sense of peace and fulfillment that cannot be found through material wealth or personal success. In the end, it is not what we have or achieve that defines us, but the love, compassion, and gratitude we give to the world around us. In addition to seeking God through prayer, worship, obedience, and surrender, prioritizing our relationship with God involves being part of a community of believers. We were never meant to walk this journey alone. The Bible encourages us to gather together, to encourage one another, and to build each other up in faith. When we prioritize our relationship with God, we also prioritize the fellowship of other believers, understanding that we are stronger together. Being part of a church or small group provides accountability, support, and opportunities to serve others. It is in community that we can share our struggles, celebrate victories, and grow together in faith. One of the blessings of prioritizing your relationship with God is the peace that comes with knowing that He is in control. Life can be unpredictable, and we may face challenges or uncertainties along the way. However, when we make God the center of our lives, we can rest in the assurance that He is always with us, guiding us and providing for us. This presence brings comfort, peace, and strength in times of trouble. As we draw near to Him, we experience His love and grace in ways that help us navigate the storms of life with confidence and hope. Moreover, prioritizing your relationship with God is not just about receiving benefits for yourself. It is about living a life that reflects His love to others. As we grow closer to God, we become more like Him. We begin to see the world through His eyes with compassion, empathy, and a desire to serve others. Prioritizing your relationship with God means being a witness of His love, sharing His message of hope with those around you, and being an instrument of His peace in a world that desperately needs it. Our lives become a testimony of God's goodness and grace, and our actions reflect His heart for the world. Ultimately, prioritizing your relationship with God is a lifelong journey. It requires consistent effort, but it also brings incredible joy and fulfillment. The more we seek God and make Him the priority in our lives, the more we experience His love and presence. It is a relationship that transforms us from the inside out, helping us grow in character, purpose, and faith. It is not about perfection, but about pursuing God with all our hearts and trusting that He will lead us every step of the way. As we prioritize our relationship with God, we discover the true meaning of life and experience a peace and joy that cannot be found in anything else. Trust and surrender are two words that can often feel elusive, especially when life presents us with challenges, uncertainties, or periods of transition. In times of difficulty, it is common for us to seek control over our circumstances, striving to shape our reality based on our desires, needs, or fears. The idea of trust and surrendering to something larger than ourselves can seem counterintuitive, yet when practiced, they can lead to profound peace, growth, and transformation. Surrendering does not mean giving up or resigning ourselves to fate. Rather, it is a conscious choice to let go of the illusion of control and open ourselves to the wisdom and guidance of a higher power or divine force, trusting that there is a plan for our lives that is unfolding. Even if we cannot see it clearly in the moment, at the core of trust and surrender is the recognition that we are not alone in our journey. It invites us to acknowledge that there is something beyond our own understanding and that the universe, life, or a divine being, depending on one's beliefs, has a grander plan for us. Trusting in this plan requires faith, a willingness to believe that the challenges and obstacles we face are part of a larger narrative, one that may be beyond our comprehension, but is ultimately designed for our highest good. It is a leap of faith that requires us to release the tight grip we hold over our lives, recognizing that control is an illusion and that many factors in life are beyond our influence. Surrendering does not mean inaction or passivity. It is not about giving up on our dreams or desires. Rather, it is about letting go of the need to micromanage every detail of our lives. When we trust and surrender, we begin to accept that things may not always unfold the way we expect or want, but we also become open to the possibility that there is a deeper purpose behind every experience, even those that initially seem painful or disheartening. The ability to surrender to the plan, to trust in its unfolding, requires a level of humility and a deep understanding that we cannot possibly know all the answers. It requires us to relinquish the need to control outcomes and instead trust that what is meant for us will come at the right time in the right way. The concept of surrendering can feel challenging in a world that often values independence, self-reliance, and control. We are conditioned to believe that success and happiness are the results of hard work, determination, and the ability to shape our own destinies. Yet this mindset can lead to exhaustion, burnout, and frustration, especially when things don't go as planned. Trusting in a higher power or a divine plan invites us to release this burden of constant striving and invites us to soften into the flow of life, understanding that there is a rhythm to everything, even when it seems out of sync with our desires. Surrender is not a form of weakness, it is a form of strength. It takes courage to release the need for certainty and control, and to trust that there is a purpose behind every step of our journey. In the process of trusting and surrendering, we may experience moments of doubt and fear. Our minds may question the idea of surrendering, asking if it is safe or practical. These feelings are natural, as our minds are wired to seek safety and predictability. However, when we surrender, we also create space for deeper insight, creativity, and wisdom to emerge. The act of letting go allows us to access a higher level of intuition, one that transcends the limitations of our rational minds. Trusting the process often means letting go of what we think should happen and being open to what is unfolding in the present moment. It means accepting that we do not need to have all the answers, nor do we need to know the outcome of every situation. By relinquishing the need for certainty, we open ourselves to new possibilities, new opportunities, and new ways of thinking. One of the most profound ways that trust and surrender can manifest in our lives is through the practice of mindfulness and being fully present. When we trust the plan and surrender to the flow of life, we are able to release the need to constantly predict or control the future. Instead, we begin to focus on what is happening right now, in the present moment. This shift allows us to let go of worry and anxiety, which are often rooted in the fear of the unknown or in the desire for outcomes that align with our expectations. By surrendering to the present moment, we embrace the truth that we can only control our actions and reactions, not the circumstances around us. This practice of mindfulness allows us to experience life more fully, without the constant pull of the past or the future. Another important aspect of trust and surrender is the cultivation of gratitude. When we trust that everything that happens in our lives has a purpose, it becomes easier to embrace gratitude even in difficult circumstances. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking or wrong in our lives to what is abundant and right. It allows us to see the lessons in every experience, the growth that comes from every challenge, and the blessings that surround us even in moments of hardship. Trusting and surrendering helps us to recognize that our lives are a series of interconnected events, each one leading us to the next, and that even the most difficult experiences can serve as stepping stones toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Trust and surrender also encourage us to release attachment to specific outcomes. Often we place so much focus on achieving a particular goal or vision that we become attached to a certain result. This attachment can create stress, frustration, and disappointment when things don't go as planned. By surrendering, we let go of the need to dictate how our lives should unfold. We acknowledge that the universe, or a higher power, may have a different plan in mind, one that is even more beautiful and aligned with our true purpose than anything we could have imagined. Surrendering is an act of faith, a recognition that the journey is just as important as the destination, and that each step, no matter how challenging, is an opportunity for growth and transformation. There is also a deep sense of peace that comes from trusting and surrendering. When we stop fighting against the current of life and instead allow ourselves to be guided by it, we experience a profound sense of ease. This peace comes not from knowing exactly what will happen next, but from trusting that we are exactly where we need to be at this moment. It is a peace that arises from the acceptance of uncertainty, from the willingness to step into the unknown without fear. Trusting the plan and surrendering to it allows us to release the mental chatter and anxiety that often accompany the need to control. In this state of peace, we find clarity, insight, and the ability to respond to life's challenges with grace and resilience. Ultimately, trust and surrender are about embracing life as it is, without resistance or judgment. It is about recognizing that when we trust and surrender, we experience a deeper connection to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. We begin to recognize that we are not isolated beings, but part of a larger, interconnected whole. This awareness allows us to move through life with greater ease, compassion, and love. We learn to embrace uncertainty and to flow with the changes that come our way. Trust and surrender are not about passive resignation, they are about active participation in the unfolding of our lives, guided by a deep faith in the divine plan that is always at work. Living a life of service and gratitude is an ethos that transcends cultural, religious, and philosophical boundaries. It is an approach to life that emphasizes the value of giving, helping others, and recognizing the blessings we have. At its core, this way of living is not just about performing acts of kindness, but cultivating a mindset that sees the world through a lens of interconnection, empathy, and humility. To truly live a life of service, one must embrace the understanding that life is not solely about personal achievement or material success, but about contributing to the greater good, making a difference in the lives of others, and doing so with a heart filled with thankfulness. Service can take on many forms, from volunteering at a local shelter to being a supportive friend, neighbor, or colleague. It is not necessarily about grand gestures or monumental acts, but rather about the little things that make a difference in someone else's day. It is about showing up when needed, offering a helping hand, or even just listening attentively when someone needs to talk. This kind of service is rooted in the understanding that we are all connected and that our actions ripple outward, influencing others in ways we may not even fully comprehend. By committing to serving others, we not only enhance their lives, but we also grow and evolve as individuals. The satisfaction that comes from helping someone in need is far deeper than any material possession or temporary pleasure. It is a fulfillment that stems from knowing that our actions have a positive impact on the world, no matter how small it may seem in the grand scheme of things.